Hey guys, one sec.
Just close that.
Drying laundry. Don't want that going on in the video. Anyways, hi. So welcome to another episode of Saying Stuff About Success. I'm your host, Ryan Bissett. And today I thought I'd talk about leadership. And this was just inspired by someone who kind of had asked me like, hey, like how do I, get into the role of like a sous chef or, a coach or whatever. So I guess it's kind of hard to like really talk on one thing about leadership because I think there's so much to it. Part of leadership involves, I guess a big one would be accountability. Another one would be knowing like how to delegate properly, knowing how to have constructive conversations. There's a lot to it, and I think just to try and like summarize in one video, like I don't know if I necessarily have all the fundamentals even that I need to like be able to lay it all out for you, but I can just kind of talk about like my experience in in leadership. So when I think people think of like managers or leaders, I think it's important to have a distinction between the two. A manager, I believe, is someone who like will tell you like, just be like, hey, go do this. Whereas like a leader will be like, hey, do you think you could help me with this? Or would you be able to ... Like, can you, when you're done with that, can you please go do this, right? Like there's a difference in how delegation is handled. And I think there's a right way and a wrong way. But yeah, I don't know. I think if I were to just start off with, if you were wanting to get into leadership, maybe we'll just start off with that. So as like a great first step in leadership, the most important thing I'd encourage someone to do is to say hi to everyone that you work with. And that's like everybody on the team, even people like you may not have like a very like strong work relationship with, or just any sort of connection in general. Like you as a leader can't just disclude like other employees, I guess, or team members or partners. Like if you think like if we had like, I don't know, our head chef who just like, if he just only said hi to like 3 people or 4 people out of like a 10-person team, like, you'd kind of be like, okay, well, like what's going on there? Is that like favoritism? Is that like, so you have to like look at your team as like a whole unit. And the nice thing about like just starting off with like saying hi to everyone is that you'll kind of break down some small barrier and start to create like some very like, I don't know, thin threaded like connection with that person. So then you can like build off of that, right? So if you even just, have a groundbreak of like, hey, hi, Steve, hi, Sarah, hi, Joe, how's it going? That like, literally that's all it is. And then eventually like, if you're trying to build that rapport, one thing I think that works well is, people love to talk about themselves and their lives, right? Like it gives them an opportunity to like, I don't know, shine, right? So like if you were to be like, hey, like, I don't know, hey, Joe, how was your weekend? Oh, pretty good. I went fishing. Oh, cool. Like, where'd you go? How long have you been fishing for? Like you kind of like build off and like let them talk and just like learn how to listen, and ask the right questions, which is, something you'll kind of just gain over time. And, but that's one way to like kind of get your feet wet in terms of like, developing leadership skills. Another big one is, and sort of this is like a double-edged sword because in some ways it works and in other ways, it can burn you. So I think most new leaders, what'll happen is because you've been so used to like being like sort of like level 1, like your a line cook or your like entry level employee or even a senior level employee where you show up, you do the thing, you do it really, really well. And then eventually you get bumped into a role that involves like having to train, having to like delegate all these things. And like, if you're good at it, then like, I guess in some way, like you should be able to translate you being good at it to, I guess, making other people good at what you're good at, if that makes sense. And what'll happen is you'll be like really solid at something, but then like or everything, I guess, to some degree, and you'll go into leadership, but then if you're younger, you might feel like hesitant to like have to delegate, especially to like people who are like your friends at work. And that's a tough one. Like if you've like created like a really good, connection with like someone you work with and you guys just get along really well. And, who knows, maybe you guys like, it's not far-fetched to say that employees don't bitch about management. I think it's a given. I think like people, when you're at like a level and you kind of see like all the things that maybe go wrong that you have to deal with as an employee, and then like you can just be like, oh well, like none of our managers know what they're doing, or like, there's miscommunications. And like, sure, if you work at a crappy place, and I'm sure like management maybe doesn't realize that, but from my perspective, all the issues that I saw or things that I used to gripe about when I first started out, I wasn't innocent in that either, right? Like I used to bitch and moan about a lot of stuff, and that I say like bitch and moan, like not saying that anything that an employee brings up that's an issue is like not valid, but there's little things that I think as you like turn into a leader, you're kind of like, okay, those problems, like though they are problems, are they like things that, like if you address those little things, are they actually like part of something like way bigger, and maybe you just need to step back? Like if there's issues and inconsistencies, is it a matter of like those people just not knowing how to cook, or is it a bigger or like the recipes, or is it what's bigger than that? Is it the overall communication and changes? Is it the availability of resources to know like and reference like what are the recipes, and having like solid answers, right? So then that does come back to management. But anyways, what I'm saying is you'll go into management, you'll try to lead like to your friends and stuff like that, and it'll be weird because like it's weird trying to like delegate people that were your buddies, right? Because now you're telling them what to do, even though you guys were on the same like it's a weird thing that you try to have to maneuver, especially like when you're younger, or like when you're new, because like maybe you're not sure how to have those conversations. Maybe you don't do well with like confrontation, or like just talking about something like real, like, hey, I know, like, because it might feel corny, it might feel weird, or it might feel like they're gonna view you different, like you're power tripping. And it's like, it's not about that. Like you as a leader now, you have to have accountability. Like if your buddy was like doing something wrong, and then like your head chef comes up to you and he's like, hey, like that wasn't correct, can you go follow up with him? Well, you have to do it. And like that's a skill set you gain through like becoming a leader. So that's like one awkward part that I struggled with it. It took a long time, even trying to delegate to people who were older than me, and that's something like, if someone's been cooking for 30 years and I'm their boss and I have to tell them, hey, like, can you go do this? And they can be like, well, go fuck yourself. Like you have to treat, I think, people with like a certain level of respect, right? And that comes into another thing, like you're in a leadership role, and you can see, like, for instance, like a head chef can like walk into the kitchen and he has like a presence, and you can just feel it, and like everybody just like gets to work. Like it was like, oh, like, oh shit, he's here, I gotta fucking look busy, like classic, right? But when you're a leader, people are gonna be like, oh well, like it's just Ryan, like this is the same Ryan who was like juggling eggs in the cooler, or whatever, being an idiot. And especially if you were a bit of a goofball when you were coming up and then you became a leader, people are going to be like, are you sure about that? Like, yeah, you're going to tell me what to do? Like, no, take a hike. So it's kind of weird, like trying to like break out of just being the fun go-getter, which people will like you for. Like people will enjoy working with you if you're like someone who can like make people happy and laugh and whatever. But then like trying to like blend in, like, hey, I need you to go punch fries, or hey, like I need this done. It's a weird transition, but eventually you kind of find it. I think another aspect too is when you're a leader, you feel like when you're first starting out, like I think people's default is rather than learning how to delegate effectively, they will rather than face something that's like like not super difficult, but it'll be challenging to try and delegate and not feel like weird about it. So you'll just do the things yourself. So you'll, say fries need to get done. Okay, you go punch fries, but then you also need to like make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But then there's like this other thing that needs to be done, and then someone's asking a question about this, and then this happens, and then this happens, and it's dinner time, and then you're trying to do all this other stuff, and then this thing happens, and then like you can't do it all. You'll never be able to do it all. You cannot do a $15,000 dinner rush by yourself. You can't do brunch by yourself. You can't do 2 stations by yourself. You can, but it is not efficient. So you have to learn that skill set of delegating properly, leading by example. I think a great example too is if I knew like the person washing dishes was struggling or really backed up, especially if it was like pans, pans take like a bit to like scrub out, right? Especially if there's like stuff stuck on. So I would grab those and wash those by hand. And I'd be like sweating, like hunched over this, like that fucking sink, like in the, like doing it all by hand while they're doing their stuff. And like my back would be killing me. I'd just be like, ugh. But the thing is like, I wouldn't see really anybody else doing that unless I like asked them to do it. But like you can lead by example and like do the things like I'm having like 2 thoughts. Let's stick with the pans one. If you're cleaning the pans, okay, great. But you can't, what your expectations and standards are, you either need to set and communicate, but you can't just expect that if people saw you doing it, oh, that's what I need to do, right? So, and like, not unfortunately, but like not everyone like is going to view work the same way. Like in any place you work, you're gonna have people who they show up, they do the thing, and they go home. And it's okay to have those people. Those people are great. You're not gonna have like, if you had a team that was just like all heavy hitting fucking home runners, right? Like, well, all those people would eventually like maybe want to be like leaders or whatever. Like, there's just, you have to have like leaders and followers. Like, you can't lead leaders, I guess, or like you can, but it's, you know what I'm trying to say? There's like a balance, right? So what I'm pointing out is just the level of work you'll put in might not be what another person's level of work will be. And you can't like get frustrated about that, but you can like sort of set the expectation, and then like through that is just tons of follow-up. Like, okay, I want the whole team to be improve on this one aspect, and then you just improve on that, right? And you keep sticking with that one thing, and you do it over and over and over. Leadership is a lot of asking people to do the same thing over and over and over and over until they finally get tired of hearing you ask, or it just clicks in their head. If they see you walk around the corner, they're like, I better make sure the ladle is in the strawberry compote. I don't fucking know. But there's that aspect. The other one was like setting standards. So like if you were the one like scrubbing the pans, you can communicate to people like, hey, if you guys see like dish pit is slammed or whatever, like, and we have downtime, can you please go do that? Like, can we make that sort of like, if you're looking for something to do, if we have the downtime, I need you to do that. And that can be like a short-term standard, like, or a long-term thing. Not standard per se, but just something that you can just train to be like an option in things that like need to be done, I guess. Leadership is like really tricky. Like I said, there's a lot of like different facets to like the things that will happen, but the big thing I think I'm just trying to like get across is you'll save frustration if you learn how to communicate what you want done and doing it the right way. Okay, so yeah. And then like, of course, I think I mentioned it, but like accountability is big. Like if something goes wrong, you like, if something goes wrong in a dinner service and you're the leader or like the shift coordinator or the coach or the sous chef, you can't like just be like, oh yeah, it was fucking Charlie's fault that like this shit happened. But like they're gonna be like, okay, but like you're the one in charge, so like you need to know how to pivot. So if like shit's going sideways on pans and they're getting slammed, like you need to know like how to rearrange the team so that they can have support. And you can't be the one to go support them most of the time. Like you have to be the one to like coordinate everything. So if you're like doing call, you have to bring someone else to do that thing, right? So there's lots of different aspects, but the accountability part is like, if something goes wrong, you have to be the one to be like, yup, that was my bad. I should have XYZ'd. Or if there's just, you have to be accountable. That's just the end of it. Like you have to grit your teeth and bear it sometimes and just be like, yep, that was an issue. That was my bad. Made the wrong call. Or making calls. Like if something like is something happens and you have to make a judgment decision, and maybe you don't have the right answer. You don't know, like you've never encountered this situation before or whatever. Like what do you do, right? Like if you have something that comes up where it's like, I don't know. Let's say you are like short staffed, so you brought like someone from the other, like another station up to the certain station, but maybe they weren't experienced in it, but you needed the extra hands, but then like that other station got slammed, but you were just trying to make everything work. Like sometimes you're just kind of screwed and you don't have like everything that you need to be successful, but you're just doing the best you can. As long as you're doing the best you can, that's good. That's what matters. But you're gonna make a call at some point. That's a judgment call. It might be right, it might be wrong, but if it's wrong, then you just learn from it, and maybe you know from next time, like, hey, and I've done it, that there was a night where I think we almost ran out of like cheese sauce, and I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna run off and grab the ingredients and then do whatever, but then like by the time I came back, we were just like further behind in the bills, and then one of the cooks was like, hey, like just come up, fuck the cheese sauce. I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. And it's like, I guess getting, past that, okay, like that wasn't the right call. I should have just stayed on the line, right? And that can be frustrating. For me, it was frustrating. For me, I was just like, I should have just done that. But whatever. So yeah, that's another aspect, is accountability, knowing how to make calls, accept you're going to be wrong, but then learn from being wrong so that way you can be right. I guess in terms of if you're like wanting to learn more about leadership, of course you're going to have resources like leaders above you, general manager, head chef, your sous chef, whatever. But I would also encourage like watching videos, pick up a very easy to read book. Don't try to jump into some like heavy or read like how to win friends and influence people. Like just do like basic fundamental stuff. I also had here like, what are the pros of being a leader? You get to guide the team toward a shared goal. You get to see other people succeed. You'll find that you used to gain like a sense of like accomplishment or success or fulfillment. That's the word I was looking for. From like being a really good fryer, cook, whatever. But you'll actually end up getting even more fulfillment from seeing someone else do just as well or surpass your abilities as the cook, as that station or whatever, right? For me, it was pans, and I can see like cooks now who are like as good, if not probably better than me, at pans, but I was pretty fucking solid. So anyways, you know what I mean? Like you gain more from it. Everything kind of shifts, and then like the things that give you more fulfillment just changes. But it's a good feeling. It's different, but it's cool. You get to see people grow and succeed and be part of that process. I'm reading my notes. You learn to take on more responsibility. So that's like, knowing when to cut if you have to cut. Like I said, having the answers, finding out where to find those answers. And then you start understanding more about the business side of things. So that's going to be like your labor, your food cost, and why that's so important. And then, yeah, like there's so much to it, but I think if you just start off small, start off with something easy, whether that's conversations, asking people to do things for you, and then eventually like, or just asking questions. If you're wanting to learn like how to like have conversations with people, I wouldn't encourage you just like having a sit down one-on-one with someone. Like, it's, my first time was super scary, and it was super awkward, but like I learned a lot from what and what not to do, that's for sure. But if you're wanting to like kind of learn how to have conversations, like sort of like in a development sense, like just start with just asking questions and just keep asking why, you know. Oh, like I noticed you did the, like, let's say someone does a salad wrong. They're like, hey, like I noticed this salad like wasn't made right. Like what happened? Oh, like I don't know, I guess I wasn't sure about the weights. I'm like, okay, well, where could you find out where the weights are? Oh, I'm not really sure. Okay, well, we have like the weights for the salads here. Like, did you know about that? No. Okay, well, like go over it. And like a great saying, you can put this in your leadership notebook, is if, let's say you've explained something to someone, if you're like, hey, this is how I want you to cook an egg, okay? This is one of my favorite ones. It's a classic one. And you show them how to do it. You're like, okay, this is how you cook the egg. This is how I want you to cook it. Okay, this is sunny side up. They're like, okay. And then like the next day you see them cook the egg and you're like, okay, I want it sunny side up. And they do it fucking scrambled. You're like, okay, well, that's not right. Okay, so it's, do you understand? Or did you understand? Did you know? Or what is it? It's, did you understand? Did you know? Or did you care? Or something like that. So it's basically like, either you understood it or you didn't understand it, you didn't know, or you didn't care. That's what I was trying to say. So, did you not understand it? Okay, cool, we'll go over it again. Or did you know, like, were you aware you're supposed to cook the egg like that? No, okay, we'll go over it. But the last one, if they did understand it and they definitely knew about it because you went over it like a couple times, 3 times, whatever, then, and they still keep doing it, it's probably because they don't care. So that's like one that definitely has come up. It's happened to me, you know, something was like, an expectation was laid out. But anyways, that's a classic one. So you'll pick up those little things, but it's funny, like I used to get that, like all these little leadership things come at me, like questions, tons of questions, and then I'd be like, what just happened? But then I eventually do it now and I'm like, oh, I get it. But you gain the bigger picture of leadership. So anyways, I know that was very like jumbled. I hope it helps. I'll try to create more clarity in the next upcoming videos, but yeah, just start out with saying hi and just be friendly. And lastly, be genuine. If you want to be a leader, don't change. You know, you don't have to change. It's if you're having to force it, you're having to like change who you are to be the thing. Like my brand of leadership, everyone's gonna have their own way they do management and leadership. And mine is sort of a mix of like seriousness with like some goofiness and just, but overall just being real. People will call you out and know if you're, you know, bullshitting. If you've been someone who's like really great to work with and all of a sudden you're a hard ass, you're trying too hard. Like find a way to just like, don't even find a way. Just be yourself and incorporate ways of leading and delegating that'll work for you. Okay? I wish you all the best in that journey, and I'm sure you'll do great. And if you don't, well, you'll do great eventually. So you got this. Okay? Thanks.